Good afternoon, guys. You guys can hear me? All right. Um, they told me I could do it at home, but I wanted to get out of the house, feel like human again. I mean, I love my cats, but I don't want to see them that much. Today, this week we're going to cover chapter 8. I'm going to today mostly talk about behavioral biases and stuff. And Wednesday, we're going to talk about technical analysis in general, whether you can make money with it. If not, why not? And that sort of stuff. I'll probably don't won't hold you too long today. I just want to test a little bit of my staying power. Let's kind of talk about behavioral biases in general. One of the basic theories behind that is so-called the prospect theory. It basically says people evaluate possibility of losses and gains a little bit differently. I'll give you two examples. Normally you shouldn't do this, but suppose you have two stocks. In one case, nothing happened to the price of either. So you spend $100 on those investments, you still have $100. On the other one, let's say you put money equally into them and you lost $25 on one of the stocks, but you made $25 on the other stock. Totally, nothing changed. You still have $100 worth of stocks. But according to prospect theory, a lot of people are unhappy in the second case. Why? Because one of their investments lost money. It's kind of a bias that looks into little picture instead of the big picture. And there are many investor biases. We're going to kind of go over on some of them today. Let me see. Some of them are cognitive errors. Uh, they're not technically speaking biases, but in a sense, either inability or inefficiency of evaluating information. Some people are stubborn, when they get new information, they don't necessarily want to change their beliefs. Something really significant has to happen for them to change their behavior. So if the new information clashes with their current beliefs, they basically don't do anything about it. It's called, perseverance bias. Some people fall in love with investments they make. They love a stock for whatever reason. And as bad news comes in, they kind of say, oh, this is just market overreacting, or I don't believe this information. Somebody's trying to short the stock. That's why they're trying to manipulate. A lot of times when a stock falls down severely, there's a good reason for that. Not all the time, but a lot of times. But if you suffer from this belief perseverance bias, you will basically fall, you will basically watch your stock fall without actually doing anything about it. In a sense, you're being irrational about it. Uh, the others are behavioral biases, and sometimes it's difficult for investors to deal with the effects of the biases on investment decisions because these are, in a sense, built into our maybe in genes from the caveman days. Some of these biases, one of them is called frame dependence. Uh, it basically changes people's focus on changes in wealth versus levels of wealth. Frame dependence, belief perseverance bias, is a phenomenon. Here's an example. Suppose I give you $1,000. You have two following choices. You can receive another 500 for sure, or you can flip a fair coin If the coin flip comes up heads, you get another 1,000. But if it comes up tails, you get nothing. Scenario two, I give you $2,000. You have the following choices. You can lose 500 for sure, or you can flip a coin. If the coin comes up heads, you lose 1,000. But if it comes up tails, you lose nothing. Uh, who wants to go with A or B, or one scenario one or two? Anyone? Okay, you'll sure get 4,500. And how about scenario two? Anybody wants to go with that? Well, okay, okay. Well, it looks like about 85% of people who are presented the first scenario choose option A. They just want to make sure that they get to 500. And about 70% of people who are presented with scenario two choose option B. Why? Because they already have more money. Instead of evaluating, in both cases, they're biases. Instead of evaluating the effect on your wealth, you are looking at your current wealth. It doesn't matter either way. The expected value is somewhat around 1,500, right? If you choose the option A in both cases. So in scenario one, if you choose option A, you're going to get 1,500 for sure. In scenario two, if you choose option A, you're going to get 1,500 for sure. So in that sense, they are equivalent. And similarly, option Bs are equivalent. But the way people pick choices are different. Why? Because of their wealth level. If you don't have too much money, you're more likely to like choices that increases your current wealth. If you have a lot of money, uh, you're more likely to choose choices that may increase your wealth even more. But at the end of the day, the effect is exactly the same. You know, this kind of explains why poorer people are a lot more likely to play lottery, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you play lottery, your expected value is negative. But people still do because if they get lucky, they make a lot of money. But on the other hand, wealthier people do not play lottery. And similar behavior, this actually kind of changed the law, happens in company 401k plans. In the old days, in order to get into a 401k plan, you had to opt into the plan, which means you had to sign up. And under this approach, typically a low percentage of eligible employees chose to enroll. And a lot of times there is even matching. For example, at EKU, I'm not on the KTRS, I'm in the equivalent of 401k. I put in 6.16% of my salary, and EKU matches that with another 10%. Rather nice. But I don't have to do anything in that plan. EKU simply puts me into that plan. But when the choice was you had to opt into the plan, not many people, enrolled in it. But as soon as companies have been allowed to enroll employees automatically, they gave them the choice to opt out. And choices are identical, but outcomes are different. After the opt out change, percentage of workers who participated in the plan significantly increased because it's about the framing of the decision. People and students are actually a lot more likely to suffer from these have an avoidance to make decisions when they don't have to make decisions. Sometimes not making a decision is a decision in itself. I'll give you an example. Last semester, I gave my students a choice between different exam types. Uh, One of them was I give you 30 questions in the exam, you give me 30 answers. You don't get to choose topics, you don't get to choose degree of difficulty, nothing. The second one was almost identical to the first one, except about half of the questions students were allowed to pick the topic of the question from a small menu of topics.